Thank you for tuning into Anime Radio. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the third episode of No Game, No Life. If you haven't already seen the previous reviews, I suggest stopping this video and checking them out. Before I start with the video, I'd like to thank our new subscribers. Sorry if I butchered the names, by the way. Maikeru _123, Sanemi.ofc, Ratchet_Gup7, and Danieru990. I'll be leaving the links of the Instagrams in the description, so go check them out, please. That being said, let's begin. As the episode starts, we immediately see Sora challenging the player that has previously defeated and disrespected Steph before she could even be able to be crowned as queen. To have leverage in this situation, Sora exposes her by showing to everyone in the room the trick she was using to gain a upper hand on the opponent, ultimately cheating. As we see, she was using the help of magic used by an elf helper, which in fact was the girl that was staring at Sora in the first episode. She dismisses these allegations by saying that she was, set up, but after accepts the challenge. As we know from Pledge 5, which says as follows, the challenge party has the right to decide the rules of the game. For this reason, she decides and settles for a game impossible to cheat, as she says, which is chess. Before I continue, I'd like to say that this is the point where the anime gets interesting, seeing Sora and Shiro starting to be challenged more and more as the duels go on, making it more and more obvious that magic has a huge role in this fantasy world. Another thing is the fact that in this anime, Steph, which we know as a not very skilled player, represents the audience, since before and after and during a duel, Sora has to explain to her what's going on, letting Oz know as well. For this reason, she has an important role, but in a different way. Continuing forwards, before the duel starts, we see Sora explaining to Steph that the opposing team is obviously going to try something sneaky to gain the upper hand, as we will see happen with most of the opponents they will be facing. After this quick chat, we get another interesting conversation where we see the opponent trying to convince them to withdraw from the fight, telling them that this is the only way humanity can survive unscathed. Unexpectedly, they refuse, nonetheless with a JoJo reference. After arriving, they head to the location where the duel takes place. As soon as they enter, we see that in this game of chess there are huge pieces for both sides, but apart from this factor, it doesn't seem like there's any difference from an ordinary game of chess. As we already know, Sora and Shiro play as a single player. The game begins with Shiro moving one of her pieces, followed by the opponent's move. Immediately we discover a new rule that changes everything. All of the pieces have their own wills. This is a big problem, as we will see, since Shiro is quite a quiet girl, with not much skill in ruling and being a commander. This is seen immediately when we see her trying to sacrifice one of her own pieces to advance in the game. This is a move done by intermediate and professional chess players. Obviously though, no one with common sense would walk to their own death. For this reason, the chess piece doesn't move. At this point, we get a very emotional scene where we see Shiro panicking since none of her pieces are moving. This is a very frustrating scene because even though she's very skilled at chess, Shiro is still not able to gain the upper hand. At this point, we see manifest for another time the strong bond between her and her brother, where we see Sora calming her down and taking control of the situation by starting to shout to all of the troops, ordering them to listen and fight for their own pride. Instantly after that, They start charging at the opponents, battling. At this point, we are sure of the fact that this is not a game of chess, but in fact is a strategy game where rulership is all that matters, effectively transforming this match from a chess duel to a full-on war between two parties. With this move, we see the strategy side of Sora, discovering another factor which makes him a very valid player, even in a world where humans are heavily on the weaker side because of not being able to use magic. Although this is a nice turn of events, it quickly turns and we see an ability that she was keeping secret, where if one of Sora's pieces touches the opponent's, they get transformed into one of the opponent's pieces. At this point, we see even Sora getting anxious. Not long after, it finally comes to the point where the queen is about to kill the king, which is basically checkmate. But in another turn of events, we see Sora risking his own life, going in front of the king, stopping the queen at the last moment. At this point, we get another side of Sora, where we discover that not only he is good at talking and strategy games, but he is also a pro at dating games, or dating simulator games. Thanks to this experience, he is able to convince the queen by talking to her in a poetic way, calling her beautiful and etc. They still haven't won though, since the opponent has the ability to brainwash. Fortunately, she intervenes and ruins her chances of winning. This is where the episode ends. We still don't know who won, since in these battles anything can happen, but there is a clear advantage on the protagonist's side, which is going to be hard to overcome for the opponents. I want to say that in this episode we can clearly imagine that the opponents coming after are going to be more and more challenging, which is what makes the anime even more interesting, since it isn't very exciting to see a one-sided beatdown, except for one anime where the protagonist is extremely OP, which is funny. In any case, I hope you enjoyed, and consider subscribing, since we upload a video like this every Monday and Thursday, sometimes even Saturday. That's all. Thank you for tuning to Anime Radio, and we hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.